You think speaking up at work proves your courage. But the truth is, it quietly changes how the system sees you forever. You've been there before. A meeting where something feels off. A decision that doesn't make sense. A flaw that everyone notices, but no one names. At first you stay quiet, because that's what people do. You observe. You adapt. You tell yourself it's not your place. But then one day something crosses a line. Maybe it affects your work. Maybe it feels unfair. Maybe it's just too obvious to ignore. So you speak. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just honestly. You point out the issue. You expect clarity, maybe even respect. Instead, nothing obvious happens. No backlash, no confrontation, no warning signs. Everything looks the same. You're still in meetings, still on emails, still part of the team. So you assume it was fine, but something has already shifted, and you won't notice it right away because the system doesn't punish you loudly. It adjusts you silently. At first it's subtle. You're no longer part of certain early conversations. Decisions seem to happen faster without your input. Your ideas still get acknowledged, but not expanded. People listen, then move on. You can't prove anything changed, but you feel it, à distance, a slight hesitation, a layer of separation that wasn't there before. And the worst part, no one did anything wrong, which makes it impossible to confront. This is where most people get confused. They think speaking up is about truth versus fear, right versus wrong, but that's not how systems work. Systems don't evaluate you based on truth. They evaluate you based on predictability. And the moment you speak up, you break that. You become a variable. You think I showed integrity. Reality, you showed unpredictability. And systems don't reward unpredictability. They manage it. If this hits, comment 1 below, because this is the part no one explains. You didn't get punished. You got reclassified. That's the real shift. Before you were easy to understand, reliable, smooth, safe. Now you're someone who might disrupt, someone who might question, someone who might do it again. And that might is enough. Because organizations are not built to chase truth. They are built to preserve stability. That's the real game. Not correctness, not fairness, stability. And stability depends on one thing: control. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. The moment you introduce friction, even if it's valid, you increase uncertainty. And uncertainty is expensive. So the system adapts, not against you, but around you. That's why nothing feels direct. No one says you spoke up too much. Instead, your opportunities just slow down. Your name gets mentioned less in important rooms. Your growth becomes quieter. You're still progressing, just not at the same speed. And here's the part that hits deeper. Weeks later, something changes inside you. Not outside, inside. You start thinking before you speak, replaying sentences in your head, editing your words, holding back thoughts that used to feel natural. Not because someone told you to, but because something feels unstable. You can't explain it, but you feel it. And now you're performing something new. Reliability. Not the real kind, the visible kind, the controlled kind. You're trying to show the system that you're still safe, still predictable, still manageable. And that performance never really stops. This is where the deeper realization happens. The system didn't reject your truth. It absorbed it and adjusted your position accordingly. That's how power works. Quietly, structurally, without confrontation. Now you're in a position where every decision feels heavier. Speak again and reinforce the label. Stay silent and protect your position. This is the trade no one talks about, because both choices cost something and neither feels clean. You think silence means weakness. Reality, silence is often strategy. You think speaking up always leads to growth. Reality, speaking up often leads to repositioning. This is the moment most people wake up, not to the system, but to themselves, because now every time you choose silence, you feel it. Not guilt, not regret, something sharper, awareness. You know what's happening. You understand the trade, and that changes everything. Now, let's go deeper, because this isn't just about work. This is about how systems operate at every level. They don't reward the most honest person. They reward the most aligned person. Alignment doesn't mean agreement. It means predictability within the structure. You can be right and still lose influence. You can be wrong and still rise, because influence isn't built on truth. It's built on trust. And in most systems, trust means you won't create unnecessary disruption. That's the unspoken rule. And once you break it even, once you're seen differently, not worse, just different, and different gets handled carefully. Now here's the hardest truth. The label you receive will never be written down. It won't appear in performance reviews. No one will officially call you difficult or not a culture fit, but it will exist. In conversations you're not part of, in decisions you don't see, in rooms you're not invited into. That's where real outcomes are decided, and that's where your new identity lives. This is what people mean when they say, something changed, but they can't explain what, because it's not one event. It's accumulation, small shifts, repeated over time, until one day you look around and realize everyone who started with you has moved ahead. Faster promotions, better projects, more visibility, and you're still where you are, not failing, just not accelerating. That's the cost, not loss, delay. And delay is harder to detect, which is why it's more dangerous, because by the time you see it, it's already been happening for months, maybe years. Now here's where most people make a mistake. They try to fix it, speak less, blend in more, overcompensate. But that rarely works, because the system doesn't forget patterns. Once you've shown a behavior, it becomes part of your profile. Even if you never repeat it, you've already revealed how you think. And that's what matters. Not what you did, but what it says about you. That's what systems respond to. So what do? You don't try to erase the label. You learn to understand it and use it. Because here's the shift most people miss. Being predictable gives you safety, but being aware gives you control. Once you understand the trait, you stop acting blindly. You stop reacting emotionally. You start choosing strategically. You don't speak just to release pressure. You speak when the outcome justifies the cost. You don't stay silent out of fear. You stay silent when it protects your leverage. That's the difference. Before you were operating unconsciously. Now you see the system clearly, and clarity changes how you move. You become precise, intentional, controlled, not quieter, smarter, because now you know every word has a cost, every silence has a purpose, and every action shapes how the system positions you. This is where real power begins, not in speaking up, not in staying silent, but in choosing which one serves you best in that moment. Because there's no perfect path, only trade-offs. Some people will still choose to speak and accept the cost, because for them, integrity is worth more than trajectory. Others will choose silence and optimize for growth, not because they're weak, because they're clear. Both understand the same truth. Workplaces are not designed to protect truth tellers. They are designed to protect stability. And once you see that, you stop expecting fairness. You start playing intelligently, and that changes everything. Because now when you stay silent, it's not ignorance, it's strategy. And when you speak, it's not impulse, it's calculation. That's the level most people never reach. They stay stuck in reaction. You move into awareness, and awareness is what separates those who feel trapped from those who understand the game. In the end, this isn't about whether speaking up is right or wrong. It's about understanding what it costs and deciding consciously if you're willing to pay it. Because once you do it, you can't go back. You can only move forward with clarity. If this changed how you see work, consider subscribing.